So do you ever feel like when you see somebody drawing something or you see a piece of art and you're like, man, I totally wish I could draw that, but I'm not talented enough to be an artist. I'm not talented in that area of being an artist. Well, you'll be surprised to know that you actually don't need talent to draw. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name's Maleko, and today we're going to be talking about how you don't need talent to draw. Yes, you don't need talent to draw. First off, let's talk about this word talent. Talent, described in the dictionary or when I Googled it, says natural aptitude or skill. The key word here being skill. Now, skill in the dictionary, or when I Googled it, says the ability to do something well. So when we break it down, talent is just another way of like telling someone that you're really skilled in doing what they do. And I feel like we got lost in how talent kind of took over the word skill, because it takes a lot to build this skill in order for you to do something, right? Just like anything else, when we were babies, it took us a while to take the steps that we need to in order for us to walk, but there was a lot of failures along the way. So in a nutshell, talent is just basically a synonym of someone who works on a particular skill that they want to get better at, right? Let's say drawing. If you're here, you want to get better at your skill in drawing. Everyone who draws is not naturally talented at their drawing or their art. It took them time and countless hours of work and practice to get where they are. I remember in high school, there was a girl who was in 2 grades below me. I was a junior, she was a freshman, and I was in AP art. For me, I thought because I was in AP art that I'm better. So naive. I felt like I was better than those who were under me. And she was a freshman at the time, and when I saw her artwork, blew me away, and I wondered how was she able to develop these works of art with color pencil. I didn't understand color pencil, and that was her main thing, was colored pencils. I didn't understand colored pencils like she did, obviously, but I also didn't work at colored pencils. I only did black and whites. So I get it. I thought that she was naturally talented at being a color artist and using colored pencils. I'm like, I'll never be able to do that. It's totally wrong. I practiced, comic book drawing, and she couldn't do comic book drawing. It goes both ways, guys. I was skilled in that arena where I could draw comic book characters, understand character design in that way, I guess. But again, everyone has a different skill set and what they're looking for. So when it comes to art, I think the very first thing you have to recognize is what you're going for when it comes to your art. You need to understand what style you're going for, because there's so many different styles. There's realism, there's cartoony, there's anime, there's chibi. Also, just remember, many artists have said it before that it doesn't take talent to do what they do best. It takes hard work to gain the skill that allows them to get it done, or at least, to produce the image that they see in their head. The talent is the outcome of what you have practiced, and to those who haven't worked on that area themselves will see it as quote unquote raw talent. But what's not seen is the hours and hours of practice that is what got you there, or here, or somewhere. Anyways, so just remember that when it comes to being an artist, or if you want to be an artist and you're a beginning artist, just remember that it takes practice in those areas that you want to get better at. So keep on practicing. Don't just practice drawing, but practice specific things about your drawing, whether it be hands, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, head in general, body in general. Hands are so complicated, or they could be complicated, but when you start to understand these small things, your drawings will get better and better. But the most important thing is that you constantly keep up with it and keep on practicing. So let's go. I want to go through real quick so that way you can see. I don't want you to think that I am just good at drawing, or I was naturally good at it, because it took a lot. Right, and I'm gonna go through in a nutshell. I'm not gonna try to keep it too long. I'm gonna try to do this in quick beats here. So let's go through a quick timeline of my journey into my art. So I started when I was like 7 because of my dad. My dad was an artist, but he also didn't go to like art school, at least not that I know of. I never asked him. But anyways, he didn't go to art school from what I know. He just loved art. I remember seeing his sketch pads and all the things that were in it. I remember talking about this in the first video, but that's the reason why I wanted to start drawing, because I saw that he was doing it. And obviously video games came into play, and there's a lot of drawings on the video games. I remember looking through the instruction manuals and always loving the artwork inside the instruction manuals. So again, that's when me and my brother really wanted to start learning how to draw. My dad at the time, he taught us the basics of like circles and and stick figures and how to use them to understand the human body or the human form, what you want your character to do. He didn't want us to just straight out draw the character. He wanted us to understand how the character was posing first by drawing circles and stick figures, and then try to draw the character on top of that. So that's when we were like doing a lot of circle figures, stick figures, and then on top of that we would draw like the Ninja Turtle, Batman, Superman, Ghostbusters, whatever it is that we were trying to draw. That's how we added the characters on top. But it first started with just circle characters or circle figures. That was a great start to us drawing. Soon after that, I moved on to tracing, because we weren't getting the training as far as our art goes. We didn't understand or know which routes to take. I was getting impatient with trying to draw the characters that I really wanted, and they weren't coming out the way that I imagined them. So, you know, they came out with tracing paper, and I remember tracing Ninja Turtles and Disney characters and all these things from coloring books. I would trace the pictures from coloring books. And though it was cool to see those characters now, like, wow, I did that. That doesn't look like, you know, my amateur drawing anymore. It looks like a pro drawing. I wasn't taking the time to understand how to develop that character. You know, I lost the whole idea of the circles, and I should have drew that out first instead of just drawing straight. Now, I'm not saying that tracing is a bad thing. I'm just saying that, you know, with me, I understand now that tracing was, again, like, it was one of those steps that you had to take in order for you to start understanding certain things. When I look back at it now, tracing was another journey into understanding more about art. That's what kept me loving art, is because I could now draw things that I didn't think that I could draw before. Soon after that, I just moved on to just straight up copying the images, or I call them air tracing. You know, like, I would look at the image and try to draw it straight as it is. Again, trying to skip the idea of using the circles, trying to place everything where it's at, and just try to draw it straight with, like, you know, without trying to mess up. And more often than not, the results weren't really good. I believe I was okay at the air tracing, because in elementary school, I entered some art competitions, and I won one of them, and it was of Lion King. And Lion King was such a big hit that year, and specifically was the scene where Rafiki was holding up Simba in the beginning of the movie. I think I had seen it in a book that I had of the Lion King, and so I drew that picture, I colored it, and, you know, because it was such a big hit, I believe that's one of the reasons why I won that competition, because all the kids loved Lion King, man. It was such a big hit, so it made me feel really good, you know, that, oh man, like, okay, so that means that my art is getting better, right? Like, I can air trace, and I could see a picture and I can kind of draw it as it is. But I think at the same time, I kind of understood that I wasn't making my own art. I wasn't creating my own art, so I needed to move on to the next step. In middle school, I moved to Florida, so leaving my brother back in California, I moved to Florida, stayed with my mom, went to school there, and I didn't have any more, you know, art influences. My brother was my art influence, and my uncle, my dad, my other uncle, and we had a family full of artists on that side. So when I went to middle school out in Florida, there wasn't a lot happening until I met this kid named Pedro. The reason why when I saw him, I already knew, you know, because he had a Wolverine shirt on. So I was like, yo, this kid must be into, like, you know, superheroes and comic books. So let me talk to him. We kicked it off right away. Me and him became really good friends. We were always drawing together, but then he eventually moved. But meeting him helped me stay in touch with my art. I started falling in love with comic books and, like, going to the comic book stores and drawing characters like Wolverine, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Spawn, and falling in love with the actual artists themselves, like Todd McFarlane, Joe Madureira, and then there's another artist named Humberto Ramos that I absolutely fell in love with. You know, I was doing a lot of comic books because I was like, yo, you know, I fell in love with the art in the comics, you know, and so I wanted to create that kind of stuff too. I remember creating a Bad Boys parody, not a parody, but a Bad Boys kind of comic book where it was like me and my brother were the detectives, you know? But again, like that's where I absolutely fell in love with comics and the whole character design or comic characters. Even though I met Pedro, there was that stint of like 7th to 8th grade where he wasn't there, so then no one I knew did art. So yeah, it kind of died off until high school. In high school, I moved back to California, so I was reunited with my brother, but he wasn't drawing anymore, but he knew an artist, and my brother is a grade above me, and the artist that he knew was two grades above him, I believe, so 3 grades above me. And he also went to the same high school that we went to, so I knew that eventually maybe I could potentially meet this person because I've seen his art before and I fell in love with his character drawing. And I just wanted to know or, you know, pick his brain about his art. So getting into high school was really exciting because I thought maybe, you know, being back in California, I would find more people that were into the things that I was into. Because quite honestly, when I lived in Florida, I was the only Filipino kid in that school. And it was such a weird time. But meeting these group of friends that I did in high school, but meeting them was such a big shift in how my art has grown because of the various styles that I was surrounded by. But on the back end, you know, I also, again, I wasn't developing my own style because I was still learning, you know, like at the time when I first got into high school and I was drawing again, I hadn't drawn characters or humans in a long time, so a lot of my humans either looked all manly or even just half body. I wasn't doing like legs or standing or like they weren't posing or anything like that. They were just torso, just like this right here. And it was either same face, long hair, same face, short hair. My man was not distinctive from my women, and that bothered me. But having these friends helped me develop a style where I learned how to draw women from one guy. I learned how to draw poses from another guy. Again, like there was just so many different styles that was learned, like sketching. I had a friend who sketched all the time, but his sketches were so messy. But what the great thing is that in his messiness, you could see what he was going for. You could see the art. And I was like, man, I never sketch. But seeing him sketch, I was motivated to sketch. You know what I mean? So being surrounded by these artists really helped me develop a style. But again, I was not developing my own style. And specifically, I remember because one time I had my sketchbook and I was walking home. My brother's friend saw me and I was like, hey, you want to see some of my new sketches, bro? And he was like, yeah, let me check it out. And he was looking through it and he like stops and he goes, wait, is this Ben's sketchbook? And though it was flattering, right? Like I was like, for real? I was like, you think these are Ben sketches? He was like, yeah, they totally look like Ben sketches. It was flattering because I knew that my art was getting better. If it was getting closer to Ben's, which was the elder of us and he like had more experience, I knew that I was getting better. But again, on the back end of that, I also knew that I didn't develop my own style, which sucked because that when people see my artwork now, they'd be like, oh, wait a minute, that's Ben's though. It's not mine. So then people, you know, I felt like people were going to see me as plagiarizing someone else's style. So that kind of deterred me from ever copying his style again, but just more so learning from him on how to develop a style. And big ups to all my homies out there because y'all helped me through this art journey and continually helping me through this art journey, because I just always remember those days when we would always hang out and just have drawing sessions. We'd all come to the house, everyone had their sketchbook, we'd draw on the table, drawing on the floor. We were just drawing all the time, and that's what I absolutely love. But again, after high school, I took another freaking break. It's like between each phase in my life, there was always a stint of like a long break of art, and then I would come back to it, you know? So after high school, I moved on to, you know, trying and workshopping many different styles from different artists, comic book artists, graffiti artists, traditional artists, gaming artists, etc. I legit was trying to understand my own style. It wasn't until my mid-20s that I finally found a groove of a style that I absolutely loved. And it was like I was trying so many things, from like chalk drawing. I was doing chalk and coloring. I was doing markers. And again, like coloring wasn't my thing, but I was trying many different avenues of art. But even though I found a groove, right? Like, and again, like with every phase in life, even though I found a groove in my style and all that, it still continues to change. I still continue to learn more about you know, shading, coloring, even though I've been doing it for years, I still need to learn more. Just like you, if you're a beginner artist, there's a lot to learn out there. But remember to take something small and just start with that. Don't think about too much too fast, because you can overwhelm yourself with too much, and then that can kill your motivation and your inspiration to draw or to become an artist. And that's the last thing I would want for anyone who's a beginner artist to do, is kill their idea or kill their dream right then and there by thinking about it too much. Start small. Don't expect too much. And I feel like that's the one thing that we all do as artists or creators, is that there's expectation to excel at what we're doing. But a lot of times what ends up happening is expectations lead to disappointments. So the one thing that we could do is to learn to stop expecting and start accepting. I've been wanting to say that this whole video, man. But I think it's a great way of understanding, you know, yourself. Don't expect too much from your drawing, especially in the beginning phases, because the beginning phase is supposed to be the messy part. Instead, accept what's going to become of your art. A lot of times, you know, if you watch other people do the whole draw me videos, a lot of times when they start off with an idea, and as they go through it, I remember specifically seeing Sam. If you guys know who this is, Sam does arts. Go follow him. I'm sure you guys do, man. Like, he's an amazing artist. But I remember seeing a video of his, and he was making his character that he does, which is a female, into 4 different characters. So it was the female version, the original version. They turned into a male version of that character. You turn him into a kid version, and then you turn him into a villain. And so he was doing all 4 of those characters. And I remember him drawing one of the characters, and he wasn't really happy at first because he had noticed that he had done something different with the lips. But then he was like, you know what? Let's just keep it that way, because it actually looks pretty good. So a lot of times you're going to find yourself in this moment where, you know, the mess helps you find clarity. I know that sounds counterproductive, but trust me, when you start getting more and more into it, you start to understand that a lot of times the messy stuff, or the mistakes that you make, like Bob Ross says, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents, right? Because those accidents can turn into different avenues on which way your art can go. So, you know, these time lapses that you see that I put up here, you'll see there's so many different phases that my drawing goes through before it gets to the end product. And that's with every piece. You have an idea of what it's going to look like, but again, like if you've never done it before, your brain is not going to comprehend how to put that down on paper right away. There's got to be different phases to understand how that all connects, you know? So remember that your art has many phases, so many different layers. It's going to take time. There's so many different avenues, but that's the beauty in art, is that there's so many ways that you can go with it. My style has changed throughout my lifetime, and I'm still learning new skills. I worked at where I am today with my art, and went through many ups and downs of my art as well. So many failures, so many, you know, rotten pieces, so many sketch pads that were wasted because of pieces that were unfinished. But that's, I believe that's like the life of any artist. You go through these phases of, we're so hard on ourselves, you know, and I can tell you right now, for you not to be so hard on yourself when it comes to your artwork, but we all still do it. The important thing is that you use what you're saying about it, and using that as information on how to change your art. Don't beat yourself up and then like beat yourself to a pulp to the point where you're not going to draw anymore and you're like, fuck, I'm just not a good artist, you know, I'm not going to do it anymore. Don't do that to yourself, because I've been there many times. You are a great artist, and if you want to draw, that's all you need in your life right now to be a great artist. It's the passion and the want and the drive just to want to be a great artist. Trust me, right now, that's what I'm going through at this point in my life, where I absolutely love my art and I can't stop wanting to learn more about it. When it comes to painting, storyboarding, character design, eyes, nose, mouth, ears, hair, how to do all this, I still want to learn more about it. Even though I've been drawing for years and I've drawn hair before, there's still more to understand about it. I know that those aspects of myself can get way better. So just know, humble yourself, bring yourself down, and know that you need to become a student of this. And it's gonna be forever. At some point, you're gonna feel like you're an expert at it, and hey, maybe you can start teaching other people too. I want to teach people what I know because I'm, you know, experienced in it. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert at drawing, but I have experiences on, you know, failures when it comes to wanting to be an artist or continue my drawing. So I'm hoping that, you know, this video can help you guys out too. If you're feeling like you're in a slump, or you feel like I'm not going to be a great artist, but I want to be a good artist. Remember, just know that all of us, and I'm sure that if any other artists out there see this video, they'll say the same thing, that you don't need talent to be an artist. You just need to build the skill to become one, and that takes practice at those things that you want to be good at. So whether it be anime, realism, cartoons, whatever it is that you want to get good at, go do those things. You don't have to draw what I draw, but take the ideas of what I'm doing and then go apply that to how you want to develop your style. I hope this video helped you guys out in some way and inspired you in some way to continue with your art. If you guys haven't seen any of my videos or like my YouTube shorts, go check them out. I have done a few things so far. This channel is brand new and I'm still trying to build it. I want to say thank you to all of you already who have subscribed. I cannot say how much I appreciate y'all and I love y'all for subscribing to the channel. Don't stop drawing, guys. I know that we're gonna find slumps here and there, but remember to try to find motivation in there by like looking at other people's artwork, finding references that can help you, guide you in what you're trying to do. And also remember, don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to your art. And if you are, try to find a way to turn that critique into useful ways to making your art better. All right, you guys, I hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Love y'all, appreciate y'all. Peace in a double grease.